So does this sound familiar? You pull your brake levers and they've got so much travel, they're touching the handlebars, and everyone says, but that's an easy fix, that. You just bleed your brakes. So you go through all the pain of bleeding the brakes and then you pull the lever afterwards and they're just the same as they were before. What's all that about? But what if I told you you could go from this to that using just this? The two most common problems riders have with levers are the lever is too far away from them, or the lever has too much travel. In this video, we're going to discuss both of those problems, look at how they both affect each other, but more importantly, how you overcome it. You may find that the lever is too far away from you, so you struggle to reach it when you're on the drops. Or you may find when you pull the brake lever, it ends up hitting the handlebar before the brake is fully applied. Now the great news is you can overcome these problems with some simple adjustments. The vast majority of modern Shimano levers have what is known as a reach adjustment, and some of the higher end levers also have an additional adjustment which is called free stroke. Now if I'm being honest, the vast majority of riders nowadays are aware of the reach adjustment, but not so many know about free stroke adjustment, or more importantly, how to set it correctly. So the first adjustment we're going to look at is the more simple of the two, which is reach adjustment. And you use reach adjustment to either increase or decrease the distance between the lever and the handlebar. And you may wish to make this adjustment if you have smaller than average hands and you're struggling to grab hold of the lever completely when you're on the drops. The vast majority of Shimano levers has this function, right from Dura-Ace all the way down to Claris. I've included a link down below that takes you to the Shimano website, which shows you every lever within the Shimano range that has the reach adjustment built into it. Now, the port as to where you make this adjustment will vary from lever to lever, but once again you can use that Shimano link down below to download the user manual for your specific group set, and you can check where the adjuster port is. Okay, so let's experiment with this and adjust the reach on this particular bike. Now, the group set I'm looking at here is one of the Shimano Gravels, but as I was saying earlier, the fundamental process is the same across all of the levers. And what's the clever thing with this? Although we're going to be changing the position of the lever and bringing the lever closer in, we're not actually going to change the bite point of the brake. So if we look now, what's that, roughly a centimetre of movement? Right, okay, so now let's bring the lever in closer. Now, the tool I'm going to be using to do this is just a simple old 2mm Allen key or hex key, whatever you want to call it. You will find the vast majority in the Shimano range of 2mm. There's the odd one or two that's 2.5mm, Shimano 105, 7000 for example. Right, okay, so let's just put the hex key or the Allen key in the port and give it a turn. And what you need to do is you just need to watch the tip of the lever here, and you'll see as I turn it will come in. There you go, see it coming in. And if we pull the brake, we've still got the same amount of movement, but the amount I have to reach is greatly reduced. Let's wind it back out again. Let's it out to its maximum. So if I now put my hand in, you'll see that it's almost to my last knuckle. But if I wind it back in again, all the way to its minimum, there you go, it's to my second knuckle. So there was a great deal of adjustment. And that is how you adjust reach on a Shimano lever. Simple as that. So there you go, that was reach adjustment. Really simple but effective adjustment for your lever. Now let's take a look at the slightly more advanced free stroke adjustment. Now, because free stroke is a more advanced feature, as far as Shimano is concerned, you'll only find it on the more advanced levers like Dura-Ace and the GRX 800 gravel group sets. Free stroke adjustment differs to reach adjustment because it's actually going to change what the lever is doing rather than where it is. The best way for me to explain free stroke and to demonstrate to you what is going on is to remove a lever from a bike, take the hood off of it, and then show you exactly what it's doing. So this here is the back of the piston, and when you pull the lever, hopefully you can see that, you will see the hydraulic brake piston plunge in and out. And this metal bar here is the front of the piston. And once again, when I pull the lever, you will see the lever pulling against the front of the hydraulic piston. This particular lever is the Ultegra 8070, and the three-stroke adjuster can be found here at the bottom of the lever. In order to access it, you'll need to peel the bottom of the hood back to expose the 2mm screw. The location of this, as I said earlier, will vary between levers. Best thing to do, use the link provided down below to find the user manual for yours and locate your adjustment screw. Now, to adjust this, you can either use something like this, because what you're going to find is once this is on the bike, you're going to find it a very fiddly thing to be able to get into, and you may struggle to access it with a standard Allen/hex key. So what you may want to try is you might want to try something like this. This is the wearer hex key, which is one of the plus ones, and it has the ball on it like that. They're okay, but the problem with those is you can find that they, because it's only a small contact point, they can actually round off the internals of the hex. What I use for this sort of stuff is, this is a wonderful tool from Presticycle. This is their Pro T handle. Really nice little bit of kit, and what you can do with this is you can very easily access it, and because it's ratchet you can very easily adjust it. Now, as I adjust this, what's going to happen is it's going to apply a preload on to that point there. So you'll note that when I turn the three-stroke adjuster, if you watch just here, see it moving? So what's happening is the screw is turning in and applying a preload to that point. If I just come back out again, and you'll see, if you look at that gap there, so there you go, what's happening is it's applying a preload and pushing that end of the piston out. So by applying an amount of positive preload to that point, you're reducing the amount that the lever has to travel in order to apply the brake. Okay, so let's adjust the three-stroke on this bike. It's running exactly the same group set as the lever I just demonstrated to you. That is a Ultegra 8070 lever. So, as on the one on the bench, we need to get to it from under there. So the first thing we need to do is peel this hood back. There you go. Now, I have purposely set this one to the extreme, and what I've done is I've adjusted the three-stroke adjustment right back. So when I pull this lever, what I want you to do is I want you to look at that gap between the tip of the lever there and the handlebar, and you look through, you will notice that that gap pretty much closes up because it's set to the extreme. Now, as I was saying to you earlier, you can use this type of Allen/hex, which has got the round head on it. These are okay, but they can be a little bit aggressive on it, and you can end up tearing the head. You see there's a slot there already. And the trouble with using an Allen is you may struggle to get it to turn because it hits the handlebars. So yeah, as I say, for me, I find the best tool for this job is the Presticycle. Now let's give it another try. If you remember that gap through there, let's just look at that again. There you go. Massive improvement. So there are a few points that are worth mentioning on the point of three-stroke adjustment that can affect how effective it can be. And the first point to make you aware of is that you don't want to apply a positive three-stroke adjustment to a lever that's already got a positive reach adjustment applied to it, that first one I showed you. So if the lever's got reach adjustment on it, wind that right out, then do your three-stroke adjustment, and then if you feel you need to, then and only then should you apply that reach adjustment. Another common mistake that people make with three-stroke adjustment all the time me included, I've done this one several times, is you've got to remember, before you bleed your brakes, get your three-stroke adjustment and wind it all the way out. There is no point in leaving it wound all the way in and then bleeding your brakes to find that you've got too much movement, because you bled the brakes with the three-stroke adjustment wound all the way in. So you're not going to have any movement. So, for example, if you've watched this video, gone to adjust this, and it's already wound all the way in, then the chances are somebody's bled the brakes with the three-stroke adjuster wound all the way in. Wind it all the way out, bleed the brakes, and then, if you need to, then you can adjust your three-stroke adjuster. And one last tip for you, that three-stroke adjuster screw, if you unwind it too far, it will fall out. You've been warned. Now, if you are regularly traumatized by hydraulic disc brakes, then you should watch that video up there next, where I give you all things brake bleeding. Or alternatively, if you would like to see the latest wheel tech from China, then check out that video next. Thanks for watching.